Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today we are talking about the top 5 best film scores of 2018. Now a little disclaimer, I was going to do a top 10, but then I realized, looking at all the ticket stubs that I had taken from the movies that I went to this year, that I only went to about 11 or 12. And I didn't think that 10 of those scores really resonated with me enough to talk about, so I brought it down to top 5. And my other disclaimer is, obviously I haven't seen every movie that came out, and all of this is completely subjective, completely my opinion. If you disagree, agree, whatever, just leave it in the comments, that's totally fine. Now before I get started, I want to also explain what criteria I'm using to pick these top 5 film scores. 1, I'm looking at the relationship between the score and the film, how the two work in tandem. 2, I'm looking at how the score works by itself as a whole. And number 3, how impactful was the score upon first watch? Like being in the theater, how much of it impacted me on the first go around watching it in the moment. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have Avengers Infinity War. Now what I will say about the score, as a whole, the score is pretty good. It's your typical sort of action score, I would say, very symphonic. The best parts of the score for me is when pre-existing material would be used. So of course I'm talking about the Avengers theme, like how it was used in the film, and it was used a lot. One of the highlights of the film, in my opinion, was when we cut to Wakanda and we hear the great Black Panther music by Ludwig Göransson. That was really impactful, really nice and effective. And I do think that, as a whole, the score is pretty good, but I do have to put it at 5 because I think there's a lot of other scores that had a lot more effectiveness to it. Alright, coming in at number 4, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Now putting the movie aside, I don't really want to talk about how I thought about the movies, but as a score, you know, James Newton Howard, this is the second film of the Fantastic Beasts franchise. James Newton Howard comes back and really expands upon the themes he established in the first film, which is awesome to see and hear. The first cue, the Thestral Chase, first 8 minutes of the film, completely action-packed. I just remember getting chills in the theater when I saw the main titles come up with the big explosive music. I think it was really good. There are new themes introduced in this film, including Dumbledore's theme and Lita's theme. In terms of how effective those themes are, I think Lita's theme really speaks to her as a character, very lonely, very almost morose and melancholy. Dumbledore's theme, I couldn't sing it to you if I wanted to. I don't know if it was because that character isn't in the film as much as everyone else, or the very theme is not particularly memorable. We'll have to see how it pans out in the other films. Alright, coming in at number 3, Incredibles 2. This film was longer than a decade in the making. And to really get back into that world and hear Michael Giacchino's really just bombastic, James Bond inspired score was really a delight to get back up to, especially when the logo comes up and you hear ba-da-ba-ba-da. Really awesome stuff, really good. And of course we get some couple of things. We have Elastigirl, she has a theme now, that was really awesome to hear. There's a lot of stuff in this score that harkens back to the original score and really just hits it out of the park in terms of effectiveness, in the moment sort of thing. As a whole as well, the score just works incredibly well. Every cue seems to relate to each other. One of my favorite moments in the film is when Elastigirl is saving the ambassador from the plane, and there's that just really like driving motif that's being played over and over and over again, and it, you know, layers and really just climaxes and crescendos work so incredibly well within the action piece. Alright, coming in at number 2, and this was a shocker to me. I only saw this movie yesterday and I put it at number 2. Aquaman. I was really blown away hearing the score to Aquaman in the theater. I remember it being just so incredibly like busy, and Rupert Gregson-Williams' use of the hybrid orchestration, some of the electronic music, some of the classical symphonic stuff, kind of how he did with Wonder Woman a little bit. Aquaman's theme is really triumphant, sort of your textbook heroic theme, but it works so incredibly well in the way he twists it and maneuvers it into the story. And listening to it by itself is an experience, because he also manages to really reflect the idea of, like, obviously like the water and the flowing of it. And what works so incredibly well is even when he does use repetition, it doesn't feel laborious. It feels like it's climbing towards something, and it pays off in the end. It's really, really satisfying. And again, a shocker to me. I did not think this was going to end up on my top 5, but it definitely is, and I can't wait to listen to more of it. Alright, the moment you've been waiting for. Number 1, Black Panther. I'm sure this will come as a surprise to nobody. This film was one of the top films in 2018, and the score by Ludwig Göransson is so incredibly unique. I remember listening to the Wakanda theme, the Black Panther theme, the sort of Dora Milaje, like sort of weird, like female choir stuff going on. It was just so incredibly effective, you guys, within the film. And I'm telling you, even when it showed up in an Infinity War, you knew exactly where you were going and where you were at. I have to give praise to Ludwig Göransson for actually going to Africa and seeing how music is like there and incorporating instruments from that continent to create this hybrid but really interesting sound that he came up with for a fictitious country nonetheless. I think it goes without saying that Black Panther is my favorite score of 2018. I can't wait to see how Ludwig Göransson incorporates these themes and even develops them in the sequel. It's going to be really something. Alright guys, that's my top 5 film scores of 2018. Again, completely subjective, just completely my taste. What are your guys' favorite film scores of 2018? Leave it down in the comments. Let's have a conversation. I want to know what everyone else thinks. Is there a movie that you thought was going to end up here, but it didn't? Let me know. Maybe I'll go check it out. In the meantime, be on the lookout for new content in 2019. I'm going to be doing more reaction videos for you guys. I want to do some more vlogs, some sort of content pieces, really simple, but enough to get a conversation going. Like I said, my one thing with this channel is to have a conversation with you guys. So if you would like to be part of that conversation, please comment down below. Also like and subscribe. That goes a long way. I hope everyone has a great New Year's, and I will see you in 2019. Bye.